Hello, Doug here, and welcome back to yet another board game channel where I will be starting yet another playthrough. In fact, it's yet another Eldritch Horror playthrough. Decided to do this one again because, well, it is October. It's Halloween month, so I figured I should do something back in the horror realm. Now, when I played this last time, I didn't quite have all the expansions. I do now have... I was only missing Signs of Carcosa, and I now have that as well. Also, this time, last time I chose to start with Azathoth, because he is theoretically the easiest one. This time, however, I'm just going to completely randomize everything. Just because I can. So I haven't chosen anything yet. I figure we'll go through the setup together, although clearly you already know which Great Old One I'll be fighting because it will be in the name of the video. But let's go ahead and do a setup. First thing, step 0, because step 1 is placing the game board, and everything else you do this and this you do beforehand. Right, I'm going to be picking a Prelude, so let's see what we get. Oh dear, probably a hard one. Call of Cthulhu. You close your eyes, letting the soothing sounds of the tide wash over you. As you turn over the bizarre figurine in your hands, its damp wooden edges bring you a strange sort of inexplicable comfort. Find that unlikely. Other responsibilities call, and that saddens you. But your heart overflows with joy each time you read the inscription carved into the figure's base. And I am not going to try to pronounce all the stuff, except the words Cthulhu, Relea, and Hagen. Everything else, nope. So, we won't be doing anything with this card until we reach step 9, resolving the starting effects, so we'll put that aside for now and move on to the rest of the setup. Alright, place the game board, organize tokens, that's all done. Off to the side, because you don't need to see that. We will be choosing and placing our investigators next. Now, I've removed everything that I did in the first playthrough. That means Azathoth and the Prelude card I had, and the 4 characters that I used. So we will have maximum variety over however many times I play this. I'm just shuffling these cards, and we will draw from underneath. Oh, and we're going to do 4 again. For investigators, it seems like a good number. So, Skids O'Toole, the ex-convict. Mandy Thompson, the researcher. Norman Withers, the astronomer. And Joe Diamond, the private eye. So I will just go grab their tokens. Okay, gotten all their starting items and everything, so we will place them. And, well, start with Skids O'Toole, who is going to be our lead investigator, because I picked him first. He starts in Buenos Aires. Well, take a look at his backstory, and then check out what he can do. Skids got put away on 2 counts of bank robbery, but he never hurt anybody. His cellmate, Brad Hollins, killed 9 people. Hollins said that an alien creature made him do it. Over the years, Hollins said a lot of strange things about the Ancient Ones. He said that he needed to get to Argentina to stop them. Skids didn't give him much thought until the night Hollins burst into flames. When Skids got paroled, he couldn't shake the thought of these ancient ones. And he is starting off with an axe asset, a weapon, so he gets +2 during combat encounters, and he may spend 2 sanity to re-roll any number of dice when resolving a strength combat encounter. As for, you can see there's his stats. I won't go over them all in detail, but you can have a look there. He's pretty nicely balanced on health and sanity. So, his action, you may discard 1 item or trinket asset to gain 1 item or trinket asset of your choice from the reserve with value equal to or less than 1 plus the value of the discarded asset. So he can potentially trade up to something that's a little more valuable. Also, whenever you roll a 1 during a test, you may re-roll that die. Oh good, because 1s are terrible. And his quote is, "I didn't get out of the joint just to watch the world end." Okay. Go Skids. Next up is Mandy Thompson, the researcher, who is over in Shanghai. Let's see her story. Ever since she was a child, Mandy would read when she could not sleep. Such had been the case on many nights. Her remarkable memory and ability to correlate facts have made her a highly sought-after researcher around the world. Over time, her work has required her to read strange occult texts. These bizarre tomes have slowly caused her to suspect that an ancient being will arise to destroy humanity. Recently, the scrolls she has been reading in Shanghai have made it clear that the world is in immediate danger. See, she is starting with the magnifying glass, which is just a trinket rather than an item. Once per round, you or another investigator on your space may spend 1 clue to re-roll any number of dice when resolving a test, rather than just a 1. She also gets the Know Thy Enemy task. Whenever you gain a clue during a research encounter, place 1 Eldritch token on this card, then you may flip this card. And presumably, the more tokens, the better. I can see she is stronger in sanity than strength. There are her stats. As for her abilities, as an action, she can draw 2 clues from the clue pool, spawn 1 of them, and discard the other. Oh good, she can make clues appear. That'd be very handy. After resolving a research encounter, if you gained exactly 1 clue from that encounter, gain 1 additional clue. And her quote, "I will find a way to end this horror. I will not stop searching." Now you tell him, Mandy. Next up, we have Norman Withers, the astronomer, who is starting in Arkham. So far they're all starting in named spaces. The scientific community ridiculed Norman for his claim that 6 stars disappeared from the sky. After exhausting every plausible astronomical explanation for answers, he took a position at Miskatonic University and began exploring more improbable possibilities in the restricted section of their library. While reading an ancient text of dark prophecies, Norman found an exact description of the phenomenon he'd observed. If the tome is to be believed, a terrible incursion into our world is imminent. And he starts with a Feed the Mind spell. A ritual. As an action, he can test his lore -1. If you pass, choose an investigator on your space to improve 1 skill of their choice. Then flip the card. There are his stats. His health and sanity are the same as Mandy's, but they are the more cerebral types. As an action, he may spend 2 clues to discard 1 monster on a space containing a gate. Ooh, nice. And once per round, you may spend 1 sanity in place of spending a clue. Let them call me a crackpot. Something is happening to the stars, and I am not imagining it. Finally, we have Joe Diamond, the private eye, who will be starting in San Francisco. The dame who hired Joe was square, and the job seemed easy on the surface. She paid in advance to have Joe find some codger and deliver a crate, but Joe does not walk into situations without knowing the score. This codger was a member of the Silver Twilight Lodge, and that crate had been stolen from a museum in Istanbul. Like a sucker, Joe went to the cops. For his trouble, he got a broken nose and a dead client, and somebody stole his cargo. Now Joe is ready for a little payback. And he'll be starting with the 32 Colt. Roll 1 additional die when resolving a strength test during a combat encounter, and you may also re-roll 1 die when resolving a strength test during a combat encounter. There are his stats. He's much tougher than he is brainy. There are the rest of his stats if you want to have a quick look. As an action, he may choose an ally, service, or weapon. Then discard 1 asset from the reserve and replace it with 1 random asset from the deck that has the chosen trait. Okay? And once per round, when you improve a skill, also improve 1 other skill of your choice. I was hired for a job. Evil gods or no, I aim to finish it. Okay, there's our unlikely crew of 4. Now, the next thing we're going to be doing is randomly determining our Ancient One. Alright. Grabbed all the Ancient Ones except for Azathoth. We're going to shuffle. Hopefully not get one of the hardest ones, but if we do, so be it. Nobody ever said this game was going to be easy. Alright, not looking, and... Alright, I will choose from the bottom, which means we don't get Haster. Which sounds good to me. Said we get Syzygy. The Cosmic Alignment. Let's have a look at the things that it will throw at us. You can see the cultist stats there for when they do show up. Their horror is equal to the number of Eldritch tokens on the red space of the Omen track, and toughness equal to that plus 1. Okay. The setup. As well as Syzygy special encounters will have the Mystic Ruins active. Right, we'll set up the Mythos deck soon. Now, when the Omen advances to the red space of the Omen track, place 1 Eldritch token on that space. Oh dear. At the end of the Mythos phase, if 2 mysteries have been solved, or there are 3 Eldritch tokens on the red space of the Omen track, flip this sheet and resolve the Portal Opens effect. And when Doom advances to 0, we just lose. So, kind of like Azathoth. It's interesting, we will be forced to turn this over at some point. We have to do the final mystery on the back to actually win, which is not typical. When the planets align with the center of the universe, and the earth falls under the shadow of an eclipse, that which would devour all life seeks to pierce the veil that keeps the darkness at bay. So we're really more combating a potential event rather than an old one. We're just trying to stop it from happening. Maybe all the old ones will just come bursting through. Alright, let's move on to the next step where, I've got to set up the cards. Alright, most of the cards have been put aside. You don't need to see that entire process. I will point out that in addition to the usual mystery and research cards, Syzygy Comes with a couple of other different card backs, presumably for really specific things. And we will also be using the the Ruins Encounter deck. So we will shuffle it, and much like the Expeditions, we stop shuffling and put that token, which I'll grab, and put it, in this case, on London. There it is. So there's an extra thing we can do in London. Hopefully beneficial things, but just as likely not. All right. So next, we will be building the Mythos deck. Just show you what's going to be involved in it, and then after you put it together off screen, you can see, okay, so in the first 4 turns, we're going to get hit by 2 rumors. However, no rumors through the rest of the entire rest of the game. So that's a good thing. Anyway, that's what I'll be setting up. Back in a moment. Right, next, before we resolve the starting effects, the Prelude card kicks in. The first thing we've got is each investigator moves to the nearest sea space and loses 1 sanity. So I've taken the sanity off each of them. Now I've just got to figure out what the nearest sea spaces are. Well, for Norman it's obvious. For Joe Diamond it's pretty obvious. Skids has choices. Now, put him there, so it's between a couple of continents. Mandy, let's see, the closest will actually be the same one that Joe is on, because it's only 2 spaces away. Everything else is at least 3, if not more. Okay, so Mandy and Skids meet for the first time. Next, if Cthulhu is the Ancient One, he is not. So let's move down to, if he is not the Ancient One, set aside 1 Deep One monster and spawn the Cthulhu Epic Monster on space 3. Okay, let me grab those. Okay, grabbed, and we're going to put aside a Deep One, as well as Cthulhu. Now, Cthulhu will be going on space 3, which is down here in the ocean. Okay, yeah, I'm glad I decided to put him in that direction, not that one. You can see how tough it is. What we need to do to actually hurt it. It's got a toughness, in this case it'll be 6, because there are 4 of us, plus 2. And on the Reckoning effect, a Deep One monster ambushes the nearest investigator, which is presumably why we have the Deep One put aside. So, put Cthulhu down there. Put the Deep One aside, and we will do the last few steps of the setup. We'll put the Doom token on space 13 for the Syzygy. We'll put the Omen tracker on the Green Omen. We'll see what we're going to have in our reserve next. So, first up for grabs is patrolling the streets for a cost of 1. Task: when you defeat a monster with toughness 3 or more during a combat encounter, you may discard this card to retreat Doom by 1. Well, if things are looking bad Doom-wise, later on we'll try to pick that up. Also, the Opus Arcana. It's a tome, gain +1 lore, gain +2 lore when resolving spell effects. We'll try to give that to Norman, because he has a spell. The fresh fruit. When you perform a rest action, you may discard this card to recover an additional health and an additional sanity. Not terrible, but it doesn't really do a whole lot for our investigating abilities. And Consecration, Service. When you gain this card, immediately gain 1 boon condition, then discard the card. Ooh, that could be good. Next up will be spawning a gate. The gate will be in, London, which kind of messes up that. Going to make it hard to do those things. And of course, we need to spawn a monster. It's going to be a Ghast, which has a spawn. When this monster is spawned, an investigator on this space immediately encounters it. Okay, not happening. Yes, just 1 gate for 4 players, and now we will also spawn 2 clues. Let's randomly grab a couple here. We have one on space 12, down in the ocean, and oh, lovely, space 3. We won't be getting that clue anytime soon. Perfect. Oh, right. Then we need to need to place the expedition token, which is in Antarctica. And the last thing we are going to do is choose our first mystery in our attempt to stop Syzygy. Relics of the Ancient World. With the magic that cloaks the earth from the court of Azathoth diminished by the approaching eclipse, powerful relics of old must be drained of their power in order to bolster the barrier's strength. After an investigator resolves a research encounter, he may spend 1 clue gained from that encounter to gain 1 relic, unique asset. After an investigator flips a relic, unique asset, they may place 1 Eldritch token on this card and discard the relic. At the end of the Mythos phase, if there are Eldritch tokens on this card equal to, in this case, 4, solve this mystery. So we want relics, and then we want to give them away. Alright. I forgot about one more thing on the Prelude card. Each investigator may spend 1 sanity to gain 1 clue. They've already lost a sanity each from the beginning of the card, so I'm not going to do that. Especially given that Mandy can spawn clues on her own. Alright, that is the end of that setup. So, next video we'll be getting into turn 1 and working towards this. So, yes, we will see you next time. Bye for now.